sisters.
We shall not yield to tyranny.
Our cause just, we will prevail. The fight for our rights.
Buffs. Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Bobby, at this
Hello,
point,
history.
shame on you. Shame on you. Because we are being played as the American people. Our money is funding a war that we don't need to be in. I shouldn't be okay with it. So as long as I have breath in my body and a mic to use, I will be speaking out against this.
A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls.
The economy, we have a global economy. That's why we're a number one economy in the world. I know that a lot of people want to paint the horrible view of America, but, you know, go live somewhere else and then tell me America's bad.
Patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty.
This is so freaking crazy to me that we have an conflict with Iran before a single person from the Epstein files has been arrested on American soil.
The hour of our liberty is at hand. For freedom is bravo. Brothers and
I was
sisters.
working, man, you know, but it's good to see Rippy out there handling business, man. And again, hey, that's a lot of black Trump supporters, man. I mean, it feels good to see that, man. So
My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
A real quote. People are getting sick of it. The moment a celebrity steps slightly outside the leftist approved narrative, they get attacked. Chili from TLC gets heat over allegedly donating to Donald Trump.
For liberty. The British advance. We must act.
Our supplies are low, but morale is high.
Then we fight for liberty.
Pain's work captures the spirit of we fight for independence.
With
Welcome to my
that said they were anti-war. I think they said no new wars. Yeah, they voted for a president that was not going to start any new wars. And what's funny to me is that not only were you lied to, not only did this man start this and get out of the
Freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Just in order to get the Greater Israel Project accomplished, you have to kill people. That's why it's wrong. Killing people is wrong. Full stop. So you can try to make sense of it with, well, it's a threat and this and that. There's no greater threat than the United States empire.
Vocabulary up, because I'm throwing out words like hubris, acquiesce, verbose. What are you going to do about the dichotomy of the nuance?
To the encampment for liberty.
And what I've learned, and I'm not a liberal or a Democrat. I voted for Trump the first time, but he's become a politician. He lies like all the other politicians. He deceives like all the other politicians.
Endures through every change and challenge. We stand at the dawn of liberty, unshaken by the trials ahead. Our cause in doing.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say anybody that sits in that oval does not like Americans. They love United States, though, which is the politics, but they don't love the Americans. Americans are farmers. Americans are mechanics. Americans are school teachers. Americans are mom and pop businesses.
And braving! Soldiers, the enemy is near.
Not only do I love my FBA fam, my Black American fam, my Black people on code, you know, my people that's allies with us, as part of the fam. I love y'all. I love my country too. You feel me?
The cause to victory.
To victory. These pastries are wonderful.
Indeed, but we must stay vigilant.
MAC is doing it again, setting a record for the most expensive House primary in U.S. history, this time attacking Thomas Massie, and doing it with dark money. Times have changed in the United States for the pro-Israel lobby since 2024 when they paid off a supermajority of our sitting Congress. That's right. The Israeli state owns a supermajority of our sitting Congress, which may explain a lot. And they openly bragged about every single primary they'd win. They said being pro-Israel is good politics. And that has totally changed. Pro-Israel money, Zionist money, AIPAC money has become toxic, and so AIPAC has moved to hide all the donations they're giving to dozens of races that are going on right now in this country, which is exactly how this absolute nobody named Ed Gallrein got his hands on $15 million to help oust Massie. In 2025, AIPAC realized that they had to start hiding their donations because their name was becoming a death sentence for people's political careers. And so AIPAC started telling their donor lists to not donate through AIPAC, but instead click a secret link to a secret website called the Pro-Israel Network, where this donor list would be instructed to make donations to people like Ed Gallrein, who is supportive of Israel and loyal to the Zionist project, but because they did it through this website, it was listed as an individual contribution through Democracy Engine, which is the Pro-Israel Network's payment processor. Now, AIPAC was exposed for doing this little game in the fall of last year by a great journalist I interviewed one time on my YouTube channel named Matthew Eady. And so when people saw that Ed had gotten $15 million from Democracy Engine, everyone already knew what was up. AIPAC is trying to secretly pay politicians all across the nation to oust our favorite and most critical politicians of this genocide. AIPAC uses the Pro-Israel Network to fund all the politicians like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Cory Booker across the aisle. The supermajority that they bought in Congress are getting paid through Democracy Engine, aka the Pro-Israel Network now. Over $32 million is at play in this race. Trump-endorsed Ed Gallrein. Miriam Adelson is spending against Thomas Massie too.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Described him as one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
Welcome to the Man Cave. Welcome to the Man Cave. I'm Gray Mars.
I'm Doc. What's up?
I'm Skeptic.
And
I'm Spencer.
Yeah, we have a special guest, Spencer. Spencer, I want to play a video from your page, and then you can tell people where to find you and what you do.
Cool. MAGA influencer DM'd me that if I don't stop making jokes about Daddy Trump, he's going to Karen Max and call my boss. Problem is, I own all the companies I work for. Who are you gonna call, bitch? You're looking right at him.
Spencer?
Yeah. So thank you guys for having me on. That was just, a little story. And I think it's very important that us as Americans always understand that not only do we have a right to talk out about things we're passionate about, but we honestly have a responsibility and a duty to talk about things that we want to have. So I made that video in the light of being on the side of radical pro-free speech. And thank you guys for having me on the show.
For sure. So Trump says he has a 99% approval rating in Israel.
He's a great guy. To me, he's
well,
a great guy.
What does he have in here in the United
States? He's a
States?
wartime prime minister, and he's not treated right in Israel, in my opinion. I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%, so that's good. But no, he's a wartime prime minister, and I just don't think they treat him well.
So, Doc, how you feel about him having a 99% approval rating in Israel?
Shit, who do we poll? Did anybody poll any Palestinians? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't even know if the people of Israel like Trump that much. I don't think anybody's polling 99% anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just propaganda. He's just bigging up how popular he assumes he is, just around the world. But I don't have a problem with it because that's his normal tactics. So I mean, it ain't something I would stop and think about.
For sure. So this is what Tim Dillon had to say about Israel and Trump.
Kamala Harris and Biden were a disaster. I believe that. But again, this turn to Iran, to interventionism, to me feels like the biggest betrayal of a political movement I've ever seen in my life.
And it's really interesting to me how it split the conservative right pretty well down the middle. Where you now have people lining up, whacking each other in a way that, again, would have seemed unthinkable a few years ago. What do you think is going on there? Is it the Israel issue?
Well, that's
pulling
a
them
big
apart?
part of it, but I also think it's preparation for the inevitability of what comes next.
Of life after Trump.
Life after Trump. And a lot of people feel Vance is not a viable candidate and he won't win. So obviously you look at a guy like Joe Kent who resigned, he clearly has political aspirations. Maybe Tucker does, I don't know. But there's a lot of talk about that. There's the preparation for what comes next.
Polymarket has.
Spencer, what's your thoughts on Trump, the Iran war, and everything that's going on with the MAGA movement?
Yeah, so I think Tim nailed it right on the head over there. It's simply a betrayal. You know, I'm not a Trump voter myself, but in the event that I was, I mean, he explicitly campaigned on no new foreign wars. Like, what made Trump so contagious and appealing in 2015 to Republicans was that he stood up on that stage a decade ago and he had the guts to tell Jeb Bush, your brother was wrong. Your brother lied and got us, his brother George, lied and got us into an Iraq and Afghanistan war, Iraq's especially on false pretenses, and thousands of Americans died and trillions of dollars were lost, and no American's life was better because of that war. So now, a decade later, for him to have us in arguably a worse conflict than Iraq. Don't forget, Iran is a much bigger country. It's much more powerful. It's much wealthier. And it has actual allies. The Iranians are very allied with the Chinese, with the Russians, with the North Koreans. What are we doing? I mean, look at his polling on inflation, on the economy, on the Epstein files. None of this is what anyone that voted for him, and I have many friends that voted for Trump, this is not what they signed up for. So, of course, this is a betrayal.
So the reason everybody's talking about Israel AIPAC is because Thomas Massie lost. So this is people yelling for him to run for president last night.
What happens in 2028? You want me to run for Congress again? I don't know what you're talking about. All right, well, you've made a compelling argument.
All right, Skeptic. There's a lot of people on this podcast that feel like Thomas Massie is so great. As someone on the left, do you feel like this whole AIPAC thing is a huge issue? What's your thoughts on it as a person on the left?
Yeah, I think it is a huge issue. And I think that honestly, this is a bipartisan issue where one of the things that we can come together, if you even remember, Enzo and I didn't agree on a lot of things, but we did agree on the fact that we did not want a foreign nation to be intervening in the U.S. political realm, right? So when you let another nation that has its own interest for itself come in and start paying money to politicians, those politicians are obviously going to advocate for the people that are paying their bills. It's kind of logical for you to follow the money. I will say this. I can see why the conservatives are fighting so hard to gerrymander the states that they're doing it in. I know why the conservatives in the Supreme Court gutted the VRA, because they know what's going to come. And I think we are already starting to see how MAGA is falling on its own face because they're failing at everything that they said. They told us the tariffs. Do we not remember how they said tariffs was going to be a great thing? We were going to make so much money off of it. Here it is, they failed. And I feel like as Democrats, we don't we like tend not to throw it in their face that they were not right, that they were wrong. We tend not to say like the things that they just said about Biden Harris, they're wrong about that. Biden Harris administration were very good with it when it came to inflation. The Science and Chip Act literally implemented policies that helped bring back what was it, the microchips for them to invest here in the US. Like, what are we talking about? We need to do a little bit more of patting ourselves in the back when something is done right, because MAGA pats themselves on the back when things are done wrong.
Makes sense. So some people were saying that Thomas Massie was anti-Semitic.
Thomas Massie tonight in his concession speech said something despicable, anti-Semitic, nasty, gutter politics, right at the end. What a way to go out. He said, I would have called Ed Gallrein, but I had to find him in Tel Aviv. There was an undercurrent of anti-Semitism in this race on the Massie side. There's been an undercurrent of it in his career, unfortunately, and it really came out in an ugly way tonight. And I think it needs to be stated, acknowledged, and condemned because it was pretty despicable.
Doc, was that line anti-Semitic?
Jews done became the ignorant niggas that call you racist if you tell them the truth sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You know how black people, if they don't want to hear that shit, we just call you racist, you feel me? Just to try to, you know what I'm saying, get it on our side, you know what I'm saying? Every time you say something, Jewish people just be like, yo, that's anti-Semitic. You can't tell them fuck you. Or they'll be like, bro, that's anti-Semitic. You said it because I'm Jewish. They're doing that. They're dropping it with everything, bro. If you took money from you know what I'm saying, Israel, that's calling out Israel. That's not just calling out people based on their religion or their background. That's calling out a country. That's calling out a group. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't anti-Semitic. He just said, yo, I couldn't find him and tell him, yo, that's a joke. And they usually make most of the jokes on the Republican side, I thought. So I can't believe, you know what I'm saying, they were super sensitive about that. Like, I don't think that's anti-Semitic. Do I think anti-Semitism happens in the world? Of course. You know what I'm saying? With anything, racism happens. Everything happens in this world. I don't think that was an example of it. But Jewish people are just, overdoing it. And I caution Jewish people that overdo it because it's going to come to a point where it's not gonna hit the same. You know what I mean? If they keep doing it like this, it's not gonna, like, someone's gonna actually, be wrong, and they're gonna be suffering from somebody who's anti-Semitic, and it's not gonna hit the same because they overplayed the card when it shouldn't have been played.
So this was Tucker Carlson on an Israeli news station.
Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz pathway and the terror ring that it created in the Middle East, maybe it would be even worse for any citizens in the world, not only in Israel, but also in the United States. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. He said that the United States would have been in danger. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't believe Donald Trump, and I also think as an Israeli, you should pause before using the phrase terror regime, since you live in a country that just murdered thousands of children in Gaza. We should all pull back a little bit.
Spencer, what's your thoughts on Gaza, and do you feel like we had to get in the Iran war?
So before I answer that question, I just want to say I am Jewish myself. I'm not a Republican. I'm also not a Democrat. I didn't take what Thomas Massie said like nearly anti-Semitic. I really agree with what Doc was saying before. I mean, criticizing Israel is objectively different than criticizing Jews at whole. Israelis themselves are some of the most, they have like multiple elections every cycle in Israel. It's a democracy. You're like, there's newspapers that criticize Israeli government within Israel. It's such an insane idea to say any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. And then, on Gaza, on the Iran war, it is everything that has happened in Gaza and in Israel from October 7th throughout has been a massive human tragedy on both sides. And no one here is winning. No one here is better off because of any of this. It's The children in Gaza are not better. The children in Israel aren't better. The children in Iran that just got bombed in their school aren't better. Nobody here is better. This is there. I don't want to defend anyone. I want to take no one's side here. Everything going on here has been a catastrophe. Ironically, one of the things that Trump said in his whole presidency that I really agreed with, ironically, was when he said they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And when he was talking about, Israel and Iran, this was a year ago before the war. And it's so senseless here. What is going on? It is crazy that we are still doing this. And that's really the biggest message I'd have on this question.
Okay, for sure.
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
The only thing that I'll say is that I don't know if I would say that Israel doesn't know what they're doing, because Netanyahu has been advocating for us to go in Iran because they have, weapons of whatever for a very long time. So I think that it is a targeted thing. I think that maybe there is a plan that, we could probably look at, but America is no better. Like, America is literally unaliving children in Cuba, where I want to say they're going on the 3rd month with no oil because we place sanctions on them. America is also a terrorist organization. We literally place sanctions on countries and have caused the deaths of many people, children, including what we did in Iran. And Trump had no reason to get out of the Iranian agreement. I've said this so many times, it sounds like a broken record, but the reality of it was we had come to an agreement with Iran. We had no business going back on our word. So now we have caused catastrophe for no other reason than greed.
Okay, so I forgot this guy's title, but he was saying that Netanyahu basically underestimated. I'm gonna play the video and you guys give your opinion.
Now? He told me all those things in July of 2009, and I told him then he was dead wrong, that he was underestimating the resilience of the Iranians, that I thought he had been lulled into an unrealistic position by the absence of an Iraqi reaction when the Israelis destroyed the Osirak reactor in Iraq. He'd been lulled by the Syrian lack of reaction when Israel destroyed their reactor. That was during the second Bush administration.
But this is the war he's been trying to sell for years.
And I told him then that this notion he was saying then, the regime is fragile. This is 2009. The regime is fragile. It'll crumble at the first attack and they won't have time to do anything else. I told him then he was wrong.
Doc, as someone that was deployed, do you feel like Netanyahu underestimated Iran and this whole war that he was causing?
Nah, hell no. You know what I'm saying? They put so much ROE in it for us. You know that, Gray. And I'd have been out there a lot of time. It's so much ROE. If it was just like, I'm trying to think of a political way to say it. If it was like no holds barred, just like, hey, just go and do whatever you want and burn it down, it'll take like 48 hours. You know what I mean? Like maybe like 36 probably or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like just literally, like that's real. For every American that they probably report those 8 or 10, it's probably like 30 or 40 or 50 people on the other side that they'll lose in retrospect. But I also don't agree with the Iran war because I don't think that was something we need to do. I don't think any American soldier, any son, any mother, anybody who goes over, I don't think what they're losing their life for is a good reason. And it's easy to do it when it's not Trump's son. It's not going to be, the vice president's son. It's not going to be the people in his cabinet son. It's not going to be the people who giving him money. It's not going to be their kids. You know what I mean? It's going to be our kids. So I don't agree with it. But when they say they underestimate them, that's just because it's so many cameras. Like if you just went, it'd be a war crime if you just went out there and just like, burn it all down. And they just let loose. You know what I mean? So I done heard when they called a bird in and, You know what I mean? They just mow the whole city down. You know what I'm saying? So can't really do that no more. You know what I mean? Everybody's filming. So you know what I'm saying?
So Jeff Bezos went viral on what he had to say about taxes.
About making the tax system more progressive. How about we start by having the nurse in Queens not pay taxes? Why is somebody at all? Why is a nurse in Queens who makes $75,000 a year paying more than $1,000 a month in taxes? That's $1,000 a month that could help with rent or groceries or anything. And so, and by the way, do you know what that all adds up to? The bottom half of income earners in this country pay only 3% of the taxes. So, it's only 3%. We can find 3%. So we don't have, it's a small amount of money for the government, you know that. And really, and the more I thought about it, to me, it's kind of absurd that we're doing this. You know, we shouldn't be asking this nurse in Queens to send money to Washington. They should be sending her to.
Skeptic, you're the most progressive person on the podcast. What's your thoughts saying one of the most richest people in the world advocating for such progressive policies?
Yeah, Jeff Bezos is not a conservative. He's a sellout, but he's not a conservative. If you know about his ex-wife, she donated, I want to say $1 billion to HBCUs, and her main mentor was a black woman who's a writer. I forget what her name is, but they're progressive. Like, you can tell a progressive person, and what's crazy is that there's a correlation between intelligence and like thinking critically, and I know that sounds kind of demeaning, and people that kind of believe in more progressive ideology, but it is just true. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, but what he's saying makes sense. Like, and I'm a person that got a tax break. So, you know, I feel bad and I try and kind of like put back into the community however I can, but it just makes sense. When I see someone that's struggling, why are they paying 3% in taxes when they could like it's so wild to me how we can see other nations that invest into their people, invest into companies, mom and pop shops, into businesses, into the community, and see that community flourish, and we want to tax them. We want to take away their food stamps. We want children to not have free lunch at a public school. Like, what kind of people are we? And we claim that we are a developed nation, right? But how developed are we whenever we can look at our neighbors struggle and say, who cares?
I have you respond to the super chat. The lunatic libertarian said all centralized systems are failed. Stop it. You have a response for that, Skeptic?
I'm sorry, but
all centralized systems are failed. Stop it.
All centralized systems are not failed. I can give you multiple aspects where, and I believe in a combination where you have some free market and where you have kind of like a centralized, controlled like state. I believe in like a mixture of it. So like a synthesized economy. And no, they're not all failures, because when you look at China and how they were able to increase their GDP in the last decade by implementing some socialist ideologies and controlling some of the privatized land that's owned by the state, you've actually seen an increase in GDP. When you look at America, also, I think that conservatives are such hypocrites when they say that they're pro-capitalist capitalism, and in reality, everything that they've done is anti-capitalism. Like, tariffs are a tax that is placed by the government on imported goods, right? That is anti-capitalist. That's not free market. When every time that we have paid the farmers because they failed, that is anti-capitalist, because you should have let them fail because of competition. Capitalism says you do not bail them out. So we're not even a true capitalistic society. We have some central planning here.
So this is what Jeff Bezos said about Trump.
When I last interviewed you, it was about 2 years ago, President Trump had just won. He was not the president yet. And I'd asked you what you thought of him at the time. And you said that you thought that he had mellowed, that he was calmer.
Yeah.
And I'm curious now, here we are.
Yeah, I still think that.
2 years later, we've had lots of we have wars and tariffs and all sorts of things that have happened since then. What do you think?
I think he has. I mean, I'm comparing him to his first term, and I think he is a more mature, more disciplined version of himself than he was in his first term. And you know, so he's again. I've worked with all the presidents. I will work with all the presidents. You know, and I hope to do that going forward if they'll have me. But we need our business leaders to provide input into the administration, regardless of who the president is. I'm not on the side. You know what? I'm on the side of America, and that is so important. Like, and that's where business leaders should be. It's just.
And do you think they're not?
No, I think we are, but we get perceived as being like, partisan or whatever. Like, I was helping Obama every chance I could. I was helping Biden every chance I could. I still call Obama for advice. He's a very smart guy. And, and by the way, people that are, Trump has lots of good ideas, and he's been right about a lot of things. You have to give him credit where credit is due.
Like what? I'd like to know what.
Let me pivot.
Spencer, we'll let you go first. Do you feel like Trump is better in his second term than his first term?
Oh, please give me a break. Truly, truly. Like, first of all, Bezos is just saying this because he doesn't want to be regulated by Trump. Trump is a psycho. Trump is a literal. Like, if he was given a mental examination, they would put him in a padded room in a hospital. He is completely insane. What part of this second term is he's threatening genocide on Truth Social? He's putting tariffs on and off on a whim. He is attacking people at random. Bezos is talking, on Wall Street. I work on Wall Street. We have a saying, you're talking your book. The idea that you say what is most beneficial for you and your business. He is saying this to avoid regulation. He is saying this to get contracts for Amazon, for the AI companies, for the robotic companies, so on and so forth. And he is saying whatever it is to gain more wealth. Oh, and by the way, on the whole idea of, people that are making, the nurse in Queens making 70 grand a year should pay less in taxes. I agree with that. But we are $2 trillion per year in a deficit. So we're going to have to make up that money from somewhere. So if it's not going to come from the middle class and from the lower middle class, which I agree, well, then where is it going to come from? It's going to have to come from people like Bezos. It's going to have to come from their companies or from their wallet or from them personally. And look, that's not a endorsement of the idea. I'm a capitalist myself. But if we're not going to tax some people, we have to get it from somewhere else. I mean, we can't just keep running on this idea that we can just borrow money from China and from Japan and from, the United Arab Emirates. At some point, we have to pay for our own spending. So those are my thoughts.
What's your response to the super chat? The lunatic libertarian said taxidermy and politicians good business.
Funny. He's a funny guy. Lunatic libertarian. I like that. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, for sure. And Skeptic, you had a super chat. They said the lunatic libertarian said, "Let me up. Money isn't real. She is dumb." Do you have a response?
Can he name me a society in which they don't use currency? Because, like, if you're claiming to be a communist and you believe that there is an actual society that doesn't use currency, then show me an example. He said money isn't real. Show me an example where money's not real. Because as far as I know, even the communist country, which you wouldn't claim is communist China, they still use currency.
Okay, so I'm going to play a positive clip about Trump since we've been bashing.
North Sentinel Island.
They don't use a currency, Doc?
No one can go there. The people there, they haven't evolved. They stayed on the island. They don't have electricity. They don't have any of these things. These people still live basically in the Stone Age in their own society. They'll try to kill you, try to kill the last people who came and try to bring Jesus to them. So no, they don't use.
Well, let me clarify. A developed nation. A developed nation that doesn't have currency. For
researching weird stuff, though. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Doc.
So here's a positive clip about Trump.
Years after enrolling in Dallas College, I graduated from SMU with a degree in economics and public policy.
That is not Chris Young, the story. He'll tell you his life is a story of
resilience, resolve, and redemption.
Growing up in Clarksville, Tennessee, with real poverty, without real parenting.
I didn't have a biological father. I've never met him, never even seen a picture of him. And my mother suffered from extreme crack cocaine addiction.
As a teenager, Chris began selling the same drugs that held his family hostage.
I didn't sell drugs because I thought it was cool. I sold drugs because I thought it was the thing I needed to do to escape poverty.
When he was arrested at age 22, it was his third time busted for drugs. Because of federal 3 strikes and you're out laws, Young knew his future was fixed.
I was sentenced to 2 life without parole sentences.
Federal Judge Kevin Sharp, bound by sentencing guidelines to send Chris Young away, was also bothered to put Chris away forever.
I didn't know that at the time, though. So I had to go in prison and start my prison bid just knowing that I had 2 life sentences and that I had to figure out a way to get out. And one day, I happened to get the news that Judge Sharp was resigning in protest of not only mandatory minimums, but specifically to help me get released.
That story began a chain of events that included news coverage.
Taylor Dovin, a journalist, chose to share the article with Brittany and asked Brittany, if possible, could she help me?
Dallas attorney Brittany K. Barnett, who has worked to secure new freedoms for more than 70 people.
To have former federal judge Kevin Sharp step down and link arms with me in this fight for Chris's life, literally, was beyond amazing.
The story got the attention as well of Kim Kardashian, who also lobbied for Chris Young. President Trump, on the last day of his first term, granted clemency to Chris Young.
How'd you feel? Ecstatic, surreal, exhilarating. I was speechless.
That was 2021. From prison in Beaumont to enrollment at Dallas College and then on to SMU. Now graduating, and with a memoir to be published in August, he hopes his life speaks volumes.
I will do well by doing good. Like Benjamin Franklin said, I started a consulting firm where we will help debunk.
Doc, Kodak got a pardon from Trump, and he already back in jail. So how you feel about this guy, granted clemency and, being successful from Trump, getting him out?
Yak book again.
Yeah, he in jail.
That's crazy. He pardoned Wayne too. Some of Trump pardons are just like a political chess move to gain favor or sway with people of a certain demographic. And if that's how you want to use the powers of the executive office, go crazy. It isn't how I would like to see him used, but man, there's so many good dudes who came from a bad situation and they turn to some sort of illegal activity. I don't know like when or where we should pardon these brothers and come home. I think a lot of them should have an opportunity to come home. So I commend Trump for giving him an opportunity, but yeah, it's someone somewhere disgruntled about that. Someone not gonna agree with it. So, it's above my pay grade. Use the discretion. He gonna pardon rappers. I guess it's cool to like to see him pardon some regular dudes and see him make some of their life with the recidivism rate in this country being so high. So I'm proud of him.
The lunatic libertarian said anarchists, not communists. So I guess they are anarchists.
Right. Close. I was close. Took a guess on that.
For sure. So
when the last time the communists admitted to being communist?
Majority of the time, if you are, a Marxist or a communist, you're pretty proud to say so. From my encounters, anyways.
For sure. So we haven't talked about this. It was a huge case, and some of the main evidence got thrown out. Luigi Mangiano.
So that we're all on the same page here. What is in and what is out?
Yeah, we have more clarification now on what is in and what is out. What is out, what the jury will not learn about, the Bullet magazine. That's the magazine that full of bullets that Officer Christy Wasser found wrapped in wet underwear, because that was found in the backpack at McDonald's. The backpack was 9 feet away at another table placed there by a police officer. Therefore, Judge Carroll found that was not in the control of Mangione, and that was an illegal search because there was no search warrant at that time for that backpack. The cell phone that he had, his passport, his wallet, and a computer chip that Christy Wasser, police officer Wasser, found at the McDonald's. She then takes the backpack, an 11-minute or so ride to the police station. He's arrested. They start going through the backpack. She finds the gun. She finds a diary. That will be allowed in. The red diary will be allowed in, and the weapon will be allowed in. The judge in his ruling points out that the diary was opened, that police officers, for inventory purposes, photographed every page of the diary as they took that in. So obviously the judge has ruled that that was a legal search at the police station, which include those items. So that's why we're basically saying, I think Jonathan Turley is right. It's kind of a half victory, half win.
Before y'all respond to that, I want to show y'all his fans, and I want to know what y'all think of that.
Is that why you wrote the article about Kevin as well? Leave us alone. If you want to be left alone, leave us alone. You do it first. You do it first. You do it first.
Spencer, I'll let you go first. What's your thoughts on Luigi?
But Luigi got them hoes. Okay, he got them lined up outside.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Boy, yeah.
That's wild. Mm-mm.
Spencer, what's your thoughts on that?
So, look, on Luigi, the support he has, especially with young people. You know, I live in New York City, so I really come across it. The shooting actually happened not too far from where I live. It's not an accident. And yeah, obviously he's a good-looking guy. You know, people can relate to him, this and that. But obviously he's alleged to have committed a terrible crime. But the fact that people are so sympathetic to what he does is not an accident. The healthcare system is so broken in this country, and people feel so hopeless, genuinely, literally hopeless, drowning in medical bills, drowning in their health insurance premiums. They are afraid to lose their job. They're afraid to switch their job because they're afraid of losing their health insurance. That someone like Luigi Mangione not only is not villainized by our society at large, he's turned into a hero. I mean, he's arguably the protagonist in this story. I mean, I have so many friends that live in, you know, European countries that have some type of single payer or government-backed healthcare. I could not imagine them supporting a Luigi type. I think the fact that Luigi has all this support it's symbolic. It's a microcosm of how desperate people have become in this country, especially young people. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest when I see a video like that.
Doc, you said he got a 304s. Do you feel like, you know, the guys just get I done seen a few guys get a bunch of letters, you know, have a bunch of chicks at visitation. So
Have y'all seen the videos that they post? Have y'all seen those? You can go on Instagram. I forget what their names. What's their name? They have a name for it, and you can go and they will post videos from jail. They'll give you their number, their like cell number, and you can write them letters, and they'll date you, and they tell you like what they have to offer. I swear to you, it's a thing.
Shout out to the lunatic libertarian, man. He going crazy with the super chats. You know what I'm saying? He'll you know, his thought process is different than mine, but shout out, bro. My thing about Luigi is if we had 20 more, 100 more Luigi Mangionis, you wouldn't have all these problems with what your dental cover, what your health care cover, these people robbing you and stealing these hedge funds. You wouldn't have all of these problems if we had 100 more Luigi Mangione. The problem is these folks have run off, stolen money, charged you to you pay them every time you get paid. They take it out your check, and then you get there and they don't cover anything, or they got some excuse, or you got to go and read the fine print somewhere. So Luigi Mangione is the fine print for people. They've had the fine print, and all of these are these things they don't cover, and he's went out here and held them accountable. Do I think that's right? Absolutely, because I believe in that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You live a certain way. You fuck people. You're the head of this company, and you know this company is actively doing people greasy. what do you think is gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? You don't think there's gonna be some sort of price to pay? I ain't saying you can't do it. I'm saying you may have to pay the price for that. You know what I'm saying? When he got all that money, he thought it was worth it. So, you know, shout out to Luigi. And he got them joints outside. You know what I'm saying? They ain't my type of joints, but you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, go crazy.
All right, so go ahead, Skeptic. My bad.
What was the name of the person that was super chatting? You should follow me on TikTok because I actually like to talk. I like to talk about the economy. Actually, this is a topic that I like to discuss a lot.
Lunatic libertarian.
Lunatic libertarian, and I am a progressive, so I'm not anti socialist ideology or central planning. I think we already have a form of like micro or like a very limited amount of central planning with the feds because they look at the economy and they basically come out and say what it is that they need to do to make sure that the economy stays afloat. So like that is a form of like very, very, very small central planning of some sort, right, from the government or an
I mean,
independent.
the military is a socialist type of concept. You know, everyone pays for it, and the government protects you on their behalf. Right? That's kind of loosely what socialism or communism is about, right? I mean, you don't have individual militias. You know, I don't have my own military in my backyard, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of that you can really apply to like a socialist ideology. I will say to this though, with this, Mexico already has free healthcare for their citizens. So for those people that call Mexico a third world country, it almost seems like we're the third world country when other countries are progressing far more than we have.
Okay, for sure, makes sense. I'm gonna read some of Lunatic super chats. First one is, I have a lived experience, not nuance, no label, title, category, has reverence. Can you debate someone that categories only by human being? Bet most cannot, but I'm a communist that makes them secure. Lunatic, you big money, big money.
I thought he said he wasn't a communist. Didn't I just say that he was a communist and he said he wasn't a communist and now he's saying he is a communist?
Yeah, yeah. I think
they never admitted.
He said he was he said he was an anarchist, which I think is like, what is the difference between a communist? A communist believes because he said no money, so that's why I used my deductive reasoning to say that you were a communist, and you come back, I'm not a communist, but then you say you are.
So Trump attacked a reporter based on who her husband votes for. So we're gonna go around. We'll see if y'all think this is fair. This Trump talked to the reporter.
Do you have a problem with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
When her husband votes against me all the time, can you imagine? I don't know what's with him. You better ask him what's with him. Her husband, she's married to a certain congressman. He votes against, he likes voting against Trump. You know what happens with that? It doesn't work out well. I don't know why he does. But.
Do you guys think it's fair for a reporter to be doing her job and then she has to hear about her husband? Skeptic, what do you think?
I would have said, well, your wife likes to pose nude on G Unit magazines. If we're gonna do tit for tat, let me talk on your wife, because your wife used to be an escort, because your wife used to be on a website and she would come out and meet men. So like, you want to talk about my husband? Let's talk about you too. That's what I would have done. You catch me on the right day.
I'm gonna play a flashback.
You know what's my favorite part about this though?
Yeah.
I think all politicians do that stuff that Trump is doing. I think they hold stuff against you. And I think they secretly got all of these feelings and how they feel about who voted against them and what's happening. They just don't all say it, but they're all holding it in and moving in a certain way. They just don't say it, and he just can't hold it in. So he really giving us a look behind that curtain that this is what they all think. Because I'm sure that this is what they all think because he's become a politician now. They just can't all say it. They won't all say it, but they're all doing it. They all know. You look and see who. Oh, you ain't with me. All right. Oh, you said all right. They ain't no different than people who get talked about anywhere else. They don't like it and they gonna hold it against you. You know what I mean? They shouldn't because it's the job or whatever. But it's human nature.
But like when you say that he became a politician, now he was always a politician. From the moment that you say you want to run for office, you then become a politician. The fact that you don't have manners and you're disrespectful to people Like, I guess that's what people categorize as, oh, he's not your usual politician. Okay, if that's what you want to say. But the moment you say, I want to be involved in politics, you then become a politician.
I didn't consider him a politician, right? Because being a president is a promotion for everyone else. They went to school, they graduated, they ran for this office, they ran for this office, they done everything they doing. This is just a promotion. President is just a promotion. He didn't go through all of those steps. So when he ran his first term, I wouldn't have considered him a politician. All of these people, this is their career, this is their job, this is their livelihood, this is what they do. This isn't who they are. He had other things he do. He had another livelihood. He had a bunch of other stuff going on. Their stuff that they had going on was politics. Plain and simple, pretty much basic. That's it. That's why I said I didn't consider him a politician first term, because they all just looking to get a promotion, to get more skin in the game. You know what I'm saying? And he had no skin in the game to start.
I get what you're saying with that. What was I about to bring up? Oh, he brought up a super chat. Skeptic, you got someone trying to come after you.
Oh my God.
Skeptic, you have never
I'm on
read
TikTok.
the
This is
Federalist,
usual.
not the anti-federalist papers. I come from the beginning. Send the link. I put the link in there. I don't know if the lunatic really go show up, but I put it in there. But they laughing now. But I was gonna play that that clip from Melania because Skeptic brought it up. I can't find it now. Oh, here it is.
Oh God.
Well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm fine. This lady right here next to you?
Melania Knaus from New York, from Austria.
Hello there, Melania. Nice
Hello,
to meet you.
nice
to meet you, too. Are you here to buy Churchill Downs by chance?
Well, I'm certainly looking at it. Certainly beautiful. I can't imagine a better investment. I'm here because a friend of mine has a horse racing today.
I just want to do that flashback clip. But Trump called Tallarico a vegan. Skeptics that lives in Texas, but we're going to see if any of us on here are vegan.
Candidate, who's Ken Paxton. I think he'll win. I think probably he'll win very substantially. And I think he'll go on to defeat a very defective candidate, a candidate that believes in 6 genders, and he takes hits at Jesus Christ, and he's wearing a mask 6 months ago, whereas anybody wearing a mask 6 months ago doesn't get it. And he's a vegan. He's a vegan in Texas. And you can't get elected as a vegan in Texas.
Did you talk to Senate leadership?
Skeptic, can you get elected as a vegan in Texas?
That's crazy. Wasn't he at a taco restaurant with Obama? Like, I don't know how many vegan options you have in like Mexican food, because I'm Mexican. I don't even know. I don't think we have very many. We put meat and cheese on everything, unless it's like vegan cheese, I guess. I don't know. It's so crazy. He's so unhinged.
Spencer, are you a vegan?
I'm not a vegan, but one other thing that was just really funny about that was that Trump was like, he takes hits at Jesus. You posted yourself as Jesus last week, and this is like the James guy. You know, like I don't know all that much about him, but like I do know he's a really religious guy, and like I'm not a religious guy myself, but it's just so funny that Trump is like, you know, accusing the guy of blasphemy when that's like, dude, you literally had to backtrack like 7 days ago because your own party was repulsed by the fact that you depicted yourself as Jesus. I just found that hilarious. And no, I'm not a vegan, by the way.
But Spencer, that's how doctors wear. That's the doctor outfit. Didn't you know that? They wear that red.
Yeah, by the way, you know what that was? I heard that I actually put it on my Instagram that they told him to say the image was doctored, like as in like it was faked, like it was doctored. And he, I guess, doesn't know what the word doctored means. So he went out on TV and said, yeah, I thought it was a picture of me as a doctor. I
believe it. I do believe that.
It's just funny. It's just, I ask my friends like in Canada or in London and Paris, I'm like, what do you think of this? They're like, we cannot believe any of this. Like, we think we're being pranked every morning when we turn this stuff on.
So Trump is being accused of organized crime.
Oh, nice.
The original, most recent sin from this Supreme Court was granting this president blanket immunity, which has given him the ability to operate with impunity, unleashing corruption that we've never seen in the history of the country. I mean, Donald Trump makes Richard Nixon look like a choir boy. It's outrageous, and it's hurting the American people. And we're seeing it with the billion-dollar ballroom now. We're seeing it with the multi-billion-dollar slush fund for violent insurrectionists who brutally beat police officers. And we're seeing it with the more recent disclosures of the stock trading ban. And when we talk about cleaning up corruption, we want to do it across the board. Our own institution, the Supreme Court, which needs an ethical code of conduct imposed upon them. And, of course, you know, the White House, which is a Trump cartel, an organized crime entity that is unfolding in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. There's no other way to say it. And the American people know it.
Doc, is it organized crime? And what is it, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
It's always been organized crime in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, no matter who was in the office. I mean, go look at the videos of them bombing kids from drones. You know what I'm saying? What would you call it? You know what I mean? They sticking up the whole world right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you know, that's always been the business. But you know, Trump, you know, old white money from New York, you know what I'm saying? He done took it to another level. You know what I'm saying? He done been working with the builders in New York City. So he just, you know what I'm saying? He might just know a little bit more how to put a little sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? Trump just on his John Gotti. He don't know how to hide it as well. You know? Just coming out Teflon Don sometimes. You know what I mean? So I don't know. They all robbing us though.
For sure. So I'll play this final clip and then we'll get to our final thoughts, because when you talk about people dealing with the economy and people's lives all the time on here, and this is a young girl and she's already homeless.
Last time she ran from me, this time she ran to me. Tell me your homeless
Because
story.
I don't have mental issues, excuse me. Thank you very much.
On me.
Clarifying that, blasphemy as fuck.
Okay, so listen. Tell me a story about when you became homeless.
Well, I became homeless like when I was 18 because I had like court shit, you know, law shit, legal shit, and they gave me a no contact order with the people I stayed with. Right. So I had nowhere to stay, and then I jumped out of the car over here because I was in a car with a bitch, and I was in the back seat, and this girl, she punched me and gave me a bruise on my face right here.
She gave you a bruise on your face?
Yes.
No,
I'm so serious.
For real?
It was
and what
tiny.
you
It was
did?
a tiny ass bruise. I don't know.
How you don't know what you
She was
did?
getting aggravated. Like I was just talking, and she was talking shit to me. And
Well,
so, you
how
know,
they made you leave though? Why they made you leave?
What?
Why they made you leave?
Why you made me leave what?
You said they made you leave, gave you a restraining order, right?
Yeah.
Or no contact? Why?
Battery.
What you did? She got off on you and you handed up? Let me see nothing. You got something going? Okay. You shut up.
If you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button and press that notification bell to know when we go live. Skeptic, what's your final thoughts?
Yeah, it always makes me sad when I see like videos, and you know, they're trying to make being homeless a crime now. So like on top of the economy not doing well, I want to say the last time that I looked at the inflation rates, it was like 3.8. The CPI report that had came out, and it's estimated for it to continue to grow gradually because the conflict with Iran hasn't ended. So there's still that possibility that it's going to continue to increase. So I think it's like beef now is more expensive than what some people make an hour. So we're going to make it more difficult. And I had said this like maybe a month ago, and I'm going to shout out Slim because Slim said, we're not going to live in fear. It's not living in fear when you live in reality and you prepare yourself for what's really about to come, because people at the top that got voted in are idiots and they start making bad decisions. People that say that they're not involved in politics. I don't do politics. Politics does you. And politics is doing us right now. So if I can encourage anybody to go out, register to vote, Latinos, we need a bigger turnout for, I want to say there was an election in Georgia where only 2.5% of Latinos came out to vote. We need to register to vote. We need to come out. We need to cast that ballot and have our voices be heard. Even with all the things that's going on, your vote is still worth it. And don't let anyone trample on your constitutional rights.
For sure. I think we lost Spencer. Dot, what's your final thoughts?
We ain't got that many Latinos, Skeptic. We need some more. Man, you know, the homelessness crisis is in this country is crazy. The housing crisis. That's why I think it's we could be doing so much more with the money that we waste. As much as I cry for all of these people in these other countries, which I don't, I'm thinking about the children of America, the veterans of America, the homeless of America, the people in America that these billions of dollars we give away could help. The lives we could change here, you know what I'm saying, and make this a better place. So that's just one of my things. But I hope she work it out. She's young. There's resources out there. Sometimes it's hard to get them. Like people say there are resources out there, but they don't just fall in your lap, and they aren't just very easy for someone who's young like her. And like sometimes they think like, yo, why you homeless? Like you should be able to just go and fix it. But so you know, with housing the way it is in this country, I just hope everybody's, you know, doing their best, man. Man cave.
All right, lunatic libertarian. Thank you for the super chats. Well, what Skeptic? I think she left, but go ahead. What you have to say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So when I say all centralized systems are failed, right? So we have an education system, we have a healthcare system, we have a monetary system, we have a judicial system. It's all failed. When you look at a two-tier judicial system, that's a failed system. When you look at the education system, whether it has any hierarchy in it, that's a failed system. I don't know of any centralized system that has produced any successful outcomes, and I don't see any statistics. You know, so in 79, after the Federal Education Act, you know, went through, what happened to education? Went straight into the toilet. I don't think that education is something that is actually, because I'm a military veteran, so education doesn't really mean anything to me. I know trained individuals versus untrained individuals. And anybody that's watched Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, there's trained and then there's untrained, because if you're trained, you have the wisdom of experience to know the failures that you've already seen. And we have left that out of society. So when I talk about you know, socialism or any of that, yes, a lot of policies are currently a socialist policy set, right? But who enforces those policies? Policy enforcers, what are they called? The police. So they are not enforcing any policies against any of the upper echelon that we've known broken the law. So why should I entrust anything into this? Let me know, because I feel like I'm a broken record when I talk about these things, when there's no trust in these systems. Nothing. Whether it be education, home health care, child care, name any system that gives you any kind of social trust or lack of anxiety, whether there's going to be a failure or not.
I mean, you got a good point. That makes sense. What do you feel that the solution is? And are you a communist? And what is, like, you being an anarchist? What do you feel like that's going to do with in society?
Okay, so anarchy, right? It gets a bad profile just because it's absolutely, by definition, against the system. And when I mentioned the Federalist and the anti-Federalist papers, they mention anarchist as the Federalist union, and I say it's the union workers versus the individuals, right? So the union gave us, supposedly through our education system, they told us that the union gave us this Constitution. They gave us the Bill of Rights. Well, you go look up the Anti-Federalist Papers. They were the ones that actually introduced the Bill of Rights. So the Confederate or the Confederation of States government that was preview to our current government gave us the Bill of Rights. But they were slavers. So they're horrible people. The propaganda that's gone on from unionization versus the Confederacy is absolute nonsense. It's absolute propaganda. Because when you look into John Locke, or you look into Thomas Paine, or you look into Thomas Jefferson, or you look into any of the founding fathers, or you look into any of the anti-federalists, that are supposedly horrible human beings, they're slavers and this and that, the Confederacy of States actually gave us the Bill of Rights because the Constitution wasn't supposed to be the law of the land. We had individualized states. We're supposed to be individualized nations to this union. But yet again, because there's no control, there's no way to capitulate an argument to say that, well, you're just bad people because I say so.
But no one's 100% bad. You said they gave us the Bill of Rights. Okay, they gave us the Bill of Rights. They didn't give us the Bill of Rights. They gave.
Well, who is us? Well, who is us? Who is us?
Black people.
I'm sorry, but
Foundational
the Bill of Rights.
When the Bill of Rights was passed, we were not thought about when we were getting the Bill of Rights. You may say they gave the Bill of Rights. They gave themselves the Bill of Rights. Those were rights that they were coming up for themselves. That was founded during slavery still. Those weren't for enslaved black men. The Bill of Rights weren't for enslaved black men. So they.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. The Bill of Rights came from the Confederation of States. What is the amendment that was put into the Constitution?
The Bill of Rights.
Hold on. I'm talking about slavery. I'm talking about slavery.
Was the Bill of Rights for enslaved black Americans?
Yes. And the original Constitution was too, if you look at the actual documented records. Now, what's conflated is that, so we can't have slavery abolished. What did they do? They introduced an amendment to the Constitution. They put it on the Union side, not on their side. So, yet again, if you want to, the Bill of Rights are not your permission, right? But by government, there are restrictions on government powers. How much? See, that's the thing. The individual right of a human being to exist, regardless of race, color, creed, religion, right? You have the freedom of religion, assembly, to protest and congregate. That has nothing to do with color, has nothing to do with any of that. Yet again, if you wish to participate,
not when they were slaves, they didn't have those rights.
Okay, but in 1680, the first congressman that was elected, who was a unionist, was a slave, took over some Confederate shit, and became a congressman. So where is the identity in this, right? My skin tone. Where is the identity in this versus what's the identity in this? Your brain. See, identity politics has got everybody fucked up as who's more important. There is no more important human being than just humanity. And I've served overseas. I've killed other human beings. To understand that humanity only survives when there's cooperation versus a conflict. It's kind of wild how we can pick and choose who is more superior or in the hierarchy of my own identity politics. Well, I don't like this person because they don't agree by X, Y, Z of my existence. Well, they don't agree by X, Y, Z of my facial features or what they see in front of them. But yet again, everybody rejects the identity to look at the programming that told you that. I remember back when I was growing up, I'm 43. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, everybody kicked it with each other. Everybody was hanging out. Didn't nobody give a shit if you was white, black, brown, or whatever. Everybody gave a shit whether you was poor, you lived in the neighborhood, and whether you participated in the neighborhood shit or not. Nobody gave a shit what color you were. And that's where people got it conflated at.
We'll have to have you back another day. We'll have you back another day, and we'll go more in depth on this. It's good to have you, though, bro.
And Little Ted, we definitely appreciate the super chats, and we appreciate all your support. I know you came the night before, so we'll definitely be rocking with you for sure.
Yeah, we gotta have you on for a whole episode.
Oh, yeah, and I always say, go support Larry Sharpe for governor of New York. He's running as a black man, former Marine, libertarian, individualist. Go out there and support that man, because Hochul ain't got it for you. Blakeman ain't got it for you. Massie just got ousted out by a $37 million bought seat to say that a Navy SEAL. Okay, well, that label or title is important for security, maybe. But yet again, it's covert, and nobody knows his military record. So it's just kind of funny how these people are so important, and they're just going to save everybody. But that's why I say all centralized systems are failed, is because the system ain't going to save you. Your brother and sister going to save you, along with your neighbor.
For sure. So we do this every Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for rocking with us. Have a great night. Man Cave.
Hello, history buffs. Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Freedom of future. A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls. To the encampment for freedom of future.
For liberty. This is what American patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty.
The hour our liberty is at hand. For freedom is robbed. Secure our liberty. My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
Welcome to my colonial home. Today, Del Payne's new work captures the spirit of We Fight for Independence. And our freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Hour is late. You must enact. To the encampment for liberty. Through every change and challenge. We stand at the dawn of liberty, unshaken by the trials ahead. Soldiers, the enemy is near. Front line, flapping.